I am Moonstone. I just dyed my hair orange and you're watching Anything Animation, where I talk about anything and everything animated. Today I'm going to be talking about Wendell and Wild. So Wendell and Wild is a very well detailed, very beautiful claymation, hand-did claymation movie that is on Netflix. It came out around Halloween, and when I first watched it, I loved it so much. I tried to make a video on it right then and there, but the video ended up just being like a 20-minute gush fest of me talking about how good it looked and how good it was instead of actually talking about the plot or uh, anything else. So I rewatched it again. I'm basically just trying again. I rewatched it and I'm trying again basically. So the movie starts off in a flashback. We see our main character, Kat, as a little kid. We learn that her family owns a brewery, and one night during a state fair of some kind, on their way home it starts to storm. Well, Kat had a candy apple. She bit into it. There was a worm inside. She freaked out. She screamed, which made her dad, veer off the bridge and into the water. And long story short, Kat ended up being the only survivor. So because of that, unfortunately, Kat kind of blames herself for what happened, and because of that, she got into a lot of trouble and ended up in juvie. And then we time skip 5 years later, I believe it was. Kat is now 13 in a fancy new Catholic school named Russ Banks All-Girls Catholic School is teaming up with the detention center, and they're doing a thing called Break the Cycle to help kids like Kat get back on the right track. So anyway, we see once Kat shows up to the school, she's greeted by 3 girls: the blonde one, the one with the big nose, and the short one. I don't know their names. They only said their names twice. The only important one is Shonbayan. I think that's how you pronounce it. I forgot. The blonde one. The blonde one's name is Shabayan. The other 2 girls, I don't remember. Okay. Yeah, so they meet Kat, and already they're giving off like super popular, being fake nice to the new kid kind of vibes. We also meet another main character, Raoul, who is up in this tiny room of a sorts. I've never been to these fancy dancy schools, so I don't know what the room is called, but he's up really high and he's looking down and he's watching all this happen. Well, the brick he's standing on comes loose and ends up falling. Kat pushes the blonde one, Shinobi, pushes Blondie out the way. She ends up falling down right before the brick hits her. And at first I thought she was gonna freak out and be like, "Did you guys see what Kat did? Kat's a bad person. She pushed me." But instead she was like, "Did you see what Kat did? Kat saved my life." And I'm like, that's a change. I'm surprised. Yeah, Anyway, the three girls, they invite her inside. Kat ends up meeting the principal, getting her school uniform, and then has to follow the nuns to her dorm, where she has to go and change. And then we get the coolest, one of the coolest scenes. I really like makeover scenes for some reason. I guess it's because I like doing hair and makeup. That's why I like makeup scenes. But yeah, anyway. She takes her school uniform and she changes it up and she makes it all cool and alternative. She's got the classic large boots with all the buckles on it. She has on black lipstick. Her hair's dyed bright green. She puts in all of her piercings, all of her eyebrow rings. I had to think for a minute. She's got belts for her belts. She rips up her skirt and then pins it back together with a large safety pin. She's got fingerless gloves. Like, she looks really cool. All this, there's a song playing in the background. It's called I'm a Poser. It's a really cool song, and I actually listen to it on my own time now that I've seen this movie, because it's such a good song. And she walks out of her dorm. She's holding this really big boombox up against her head, blaring this song. She's walking down the hallway. All the teacher nuns are freaking out. Some of the girls are freaking out, you know. Oh no, an alternative person. How sinful. One of the nuns literally covers her ears and starts screaming because she just can't handle the power of non-gospel music. Like, it's amazing. And something I actually didn't notice until rewatching is there's actually a kid in the background who actually dances along to Kat's song that she's playing, which I just found cute. Okay. But yeah, we then cut to more main characters. The two main characters who this movie is actually named after, Wendell and Wild. They live on a bigger demon named Belphegor. Well, actually, I don't think his name actually is Belphegor, but it's something really close to Belphegor. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but all of the demons, like this bigger one, they all have names, and you'll see this as like a running theme, which I think is really funny. They won't be named, you know, Belphegor or Beelzebub. They won't be named after the demons themselves. They'll just be named something dangerously close. And I don't know if that was done on purpose or done because they couldn't name their characters after the actual demons they were supposed to be. I don't know, but yeah, it's Belphegor. And he owns a carnival of torture where he takes souls and he forces them to go on rides in where they cannot escape. They can't get off the ride. And there are roller coasters that run into each other. The teacup ride dumps actual hot tea on you. The Ferris wheel, there's a tub, not a tub, there's a tank of electric eels, so the only way to get off the Ferris wheel is if you fall and drop into the pit of electric eels. And it's only fun for him. And the song that's playing in the background while we're watching all these souls get tortured, I really like it. I don't know if it was made, I don't know if it's a real song or if it was made just for the movie, but I enjoyed it. Wendell and Wild are two demons, and they're tasked with putting the hair on Belphagora's head. And Wild ends up eating the hair cream, he ends up eating some of the hair cream and makes Wendell also eat some of the cream, and then they both start hallucinating and getting a vision. And they can see Kat, but it's her younger self. And they both reach out and grab her hands, and this is important. Remember this is important. We then cut back to Kat being in a classroom. She talks to Raoul and one of the teacher nuns. I don't know her name. I completely forgot her name. Comes running in talking about an octopus. She calls Kat to the front, and Kat ends up getting zapped by something in the drawer, in the teacher's drawer. And when she pulls off her glove, she ends up with this really cool skull pattern thing on her hand. It's just the nose and the mouth. So she can hold it up to her face, and it's just the nose and the mouth, which looks really cool, but you'll see that later. The nun teacher tells her not to tell anyone about her new skull hand, and that she has to keep her fingerless glove on. Kat freaks out, obviously, and runs off. We then meet more characters. The principal, father principal, I don't know. I'm trying my best. We see Father Principal is talking to these other two people who are trying to take over the town because money. And turns out they need to be voted in, but the people in the community council or whatever, half of them are passed away. The ones that would have voted them in have passed away. So they can't, take over the town because money. So they have to come up with a new plan to get voted in to take over the town. We then cut back to Kat. It's late at night and she tries to go to bed, but she keeps having the same nightmare, reliving the day her parents passed away. Except this one gets interrupted by the two demons. Yeah. Oh wait, the detail. I've completely skipped that whole part. Yeah, she's having a nightmare about the day her parents passed away, and a little detail I noticed that I didn't notice until my second time watching was when the car is in the water, the necklace that Kat now wears as 13, the necklace that she wears, her mom wrapped around her hand when she was a kid when the car was underwater. So when the car was underwater, she took off her necklace and she wrapped it around Kat's hand. I don't know if this one was the skull hand or not. I have a feeling it was. But yeah, she wraps it around Kat's hand. She tells Kat to take a deep breath. She rolls down the window and she helps Kat escape the trapped car. I'm not sure what the charm on the necklace is or what it represents, but I think it means protection because once Kat makes it to the surface, she is rescued. So that's just a cool detail I noticed in the fact that she's kept it all these years. It's just a cool detail. But anyway, this dream is interrupted by Wendell and Wild, who have come up to say, hey, you're our, I can't say the word because YouTube, but you're our H-word maiden. You have a skull on your hand, and we can give you whatever you want. All you have to do is summon us to the living world. You do that with the bear called Beelzebub, definitely not a reference to Beelzebub. And yeah, you do that with Beelzebub, who's in the teacher's desk, the thing that zapped you. Okay. I thought it was skippable and it wasn't. Yeah. On the full moon, you need Beelzebub. On the full moon, go summon us. Also, don't forget you need a witness for all this. So Kat ends up stealing Beelzebub and chooses Raoul to be her witness, and they get to talking, and they learn that Siobhan is a klaxon, as in Klaxcorp. The two bad guys who were trying to take over the town because money. They're her parents. Kat does the spell, comes up, yeah. Kat does the spell, and up comes the demons. Kat does, yeah. They discovered a way to bring the dead back through Belphegor's hair cream, and they test it on Father Principal. And we learn that the teacher nun is also an H-word maiden and used to work with the janitor to catch demons. Both demons end up talking to Father Principal, who says if they raise up the voters back from the dead, they'll vote for Klaxcorp, and Klaxcorp will give them money. Yeah, we'll give the school money, and they'll give Wendell and Wild money for their fair. By the way, they want to help Belphegor run the fair, but Belphegor doesn't let them, so they created their own fair out of paper, and it's so well detailed, and it's really cool. And their whole big master plan is to, because Belphegor won't let them build their carnival down there, was to go up to the land of the living and just build it up there. Raoul steals the hair cream and brings Kat's parents back, since that's what Kat wanted all along. The whole reason why she did the spell and she stole Beelzebub and she did this and she did that was because both Wendell and Wild promised her that they can bring back her parents. Meanwhile, Blondie, Siobhan, uncovers the secret of her parents' prison strategies, and basically what they do is they get a pile of money for every prisoner. So what they do is they just pack all the prisoners up like sardines. There is no getting better. There is no rehabilitation. There is nothing. And their whole break the cycle program for kids like Kat who are in juvie detention, instead of actually helping them, they make it impossible for them to succeed, so they end up right back where they started, but instead of juvie, they end up in actual jail. So that's another pile of money for the Klaxons. We then cut back to Kat and Teacher Nun, whose name I have completely forgotten. They do a, I can't say the word because of YouTube, but the red liquid that's inside the body, they do an oath on that. Yeah, they do that so Kat can get her powers. So Kat can get her power. All she has to do is overcome her trauma. So what they do is they put Kat and nun teacher in a dark room, and they use their magic ghost powers to look through Kat's memories, and we finally see all of the bad memories. Obviously, her parents passing away, the getting trouble in school, what sent her to the juvenile detention center, what happened then, and there's all these bad memories and all this trauma just compressed into one giant shadow monster. And at first, the shadow monster beats up Kat, but then Kat finds her strength and then starts to beat up the monster. And Kat's beating up the monster. She's defeating the monster. In the end, the monster keeps shrinking, and eventually it becomes this really small, just scared little kid. And instead of landing the final blow and destroying it, Kat actually reaches her hand out and then hugs it. A visual representation of coming to terms with your trauma. Because so many movies, so many shows, they always show the main character fighting their trauma, just fighting their trauma and battling whatever. That's the first time I've actually seen like a character in a movie or show or whatever actually come to terms like, hey, I can't change the past, but I accept you and it's okay. What happened was not my fault. And that's amazing, and that was a more realistic representation of overcoming trauma. Then I really hope that I see it more than using your fists and fighting your trauma and then just repressing it more while you think you defeated it. Moving on. Where was I at? Moving on, father principal kidnaps Kat's parents, and since they shouldn't be here, since the demons did promise that they wouldn't bring anybody back from the dead but the voters, going against Kat's promise, hence why Raoul stole the cream and brought back Kat's parents, because she deserved it. The demons kidnap Kat's parents and they try to rebury Kat's parents, but Kat stops them. Then Belphegor discovers that Wendell and Wild aren't there anymore, so he ends up coming up to the surface, and when he does, when he finally comes up to the surface, all of the snow and all of the roofs of the town, it all melts. And then we see why Raoul was up there. Raoul was up on the tiny building working on an art project which involved him painting a giant mural on all of these roofs that you can only fully see from the room up there. Yeah, and the painting on all the roofs, on all the houses, it's a mural of a parent protecting their child from a two-headed dragon, and the two-headed dragon looks awfully like our two main bad guys. Also, people say that the mother in the mural looks a lot like Raoul's mother, which makes sense. I mean, it is Raoul's painting, or mural. And then we learn that Wendell and Wild aren't just regular demons, they're actually Belphegor's kids. And once Belphegor sees this painting, he reveals, you used to have siblings, but they all left, and yeah, and then we learned that all the janitor, the demons that he was fighting, that he was collecting, were all of Belphegor's kids, and eventually he feels bad and releases them all so they can all go back to Belphegor, they can all go home. And in the end, Kat does get her superpowers. Well, I shouldn't say superpowers. Kat does get her powers. She gets future vision, and she all of the main characters, all of them, even the blonde one, ends up riding against Klatzcorp, who are trying to take out the entire town. They end up fighting off the machines in this really cool scene, and they do that, and then Raoul's mother, who's a detective lawyer person, ends up finding evidence that the Claxes were the ones who burnt down the brewery, and they did it on purpose so that the town will be in ruins, so that they can come in and say, hey, I have money and I can buy this entire town and make it better because I like money. So she finally gets the evidence. Klatzcorp is done, it's over with, and it's a happy ending for everyone. And that's it. I really enjoyed this movie. I can see a lot of people putting it up with the classics like Coraline or Paranorman, you know, the claymation Halloween movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.